All right, we're back here after the first doubleheader, ESL Pro League Season 5. I am your host, Stunna. This is Bach. We're getting into another doubleheader here, SK and Immortals. I mean, the first one we saw tonight, basically a blowout. I mean, there's not much to say about it other than what we've already said.
Yeah, I mean, it followed the rhythm we expected. We thought that Rush might come out on the first map, put up some decent round numbers, but in general, we did expect Cloud9 to walk away with a 2-0, and then Cash was as to be expected. Cloud9 absolutely dominating Rush, and at one point, they just kind of threw the strap book out the window and just rushed everywhere. Held W, and it worked.
Mouse won a W. Quite the tactic, but we do have a much more anticipatingly close game on our hands coming up here. SK and Immortals going to be battling it out post-roster change. What is there to say about this?
Well, I mean, we talked about the roster change in the pre-show. What effect was that going to have on the teams? In general, it seems like SK gained a pretty competent player in Phelps, while also shedding weight that they might felt was dead weight, FNX. You can see the roster here. It's Fur, Fallen, Coldzera, Taco, and Phelps. And obviously that, we've talked about it, the double op threat ever looming for the likes of anyone playing against Luminosity or SK Gaming, excuse me.
I mean, being that this is the first matchup we're seeing of these guys of this season, I mean, there's no real way to expect the sort of gameplay we'll see coming out of that SK side, but we do know them as a dominant force. I mean, SK world champions 2 times over. These guys against SK or Immortals, though, it's kind of one of these situations where in-house rivalry almost.
Yeah, and we've seen them play so many times, like it's the Brazilian El Clasico. Like we've watched the SK or Luminosity or whatever team name they were at one point in time play against Tempo Storm, Games Academy, and now obviously Immortals. And usually SK has their number dialed in. It's like 20 matches or so, and SK has won 80% of those matches against the likes of Immortals.
We'll take a look now at some B-roll here from SK Gaming, and as you can see, this Coldzera fella seems to know how to play the game. I could be wrong.
So one of the craziest things about Coldzera when he came in as a pro, he had actually never won a LAN. When he joined SK back when they were Luminosity, he had never placed first in a single LAN, not even a local LAN. He had never won a LAN in his life. That was talking to Zeus. Actually, I think it was at like some random offshoot LAN. He was saying, this guy's crazy good, but he's just never been able to find the team. And clearly he's found it here. The dude is ridiculously talented. There's that famous op clip from Mirage that's now gotten him permanently planted in the game in the form of a graffiti. The guy is out of his mind.
One might say he's immortalized in the game.
Yeah, but that's the...
I know, I get it.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, obviously the guy knows what he's doing. He's a force to be reckoned with when he's on point. And then you look at the other players there on that SK side that are able to bring the destruction with them. He's got all the power behind him in the world as long as everybody shows up on match day.
Yeah, now they also add this even more competent player to the team in Phelps. I think that they get a young player who's looking to shine with the highest tiered Brazilian team. And again, we had talked about it earlier, right? Immortals is always playing second fiddle to SK. They're always in the background. They're always like the farm team. So whenever SK wants to make a change, that's the first place they go. And unfortunately for Immortals, they lost what is likely to be their best player.
Well, in the case that your farm team actually becomes a world-class team, that is what we have in front of us. Let's take a look now at the Immortals roster as we do bring that up here. Bolts, Henny, Lucas, Steele, and FNX. FNX being the recent acquisition there.
Yeah, and you know, looking at that list, you've got Bolts, Steele, and FNX, all former teammates of players from SK, all cut from the team and removed in lieu of other Brazilian talent like Coldzera, like Taco, and now also the likes of Phelps.
Well, to expand a little more on the Immortals roster, right, and we spoke a little bit about it earlier, who is going to be the dominant force on that side?
I think it's Henny with the op. I think that if you're looking at a single player, without Phelps, he's the hands-down favorite to be a top performer. So economic control is going to be really huge for them. They're going to want to keep that op in his hands as much as possible. There's countless clips where he's bailed them out of situations. One of the best ones goes against Cloud9. I think it was from the RGN Pro Series from like way back. It was an insane
quite the
like
time capsule.
2v5. It was like one of the first tournaments they had played in the States. They played like Win Out LAN and then they played that. And it was one of the more insane clips that helped make a name for himself. And he's continued in that stride of just like this dominant op performance when they really need him most. He's constantly bailing them out of tough situations.
Well, let's talk about some tough situations, but to do that, we're going to go to Mr. Stromberg. De Beers is standing by. Take it, Eric.
Coach Stromberg here with another round review, and this time we'll be looking at Immortals on Cash. And now they have a pretty similar TB fake like Cloud9, but what they do a little differently is they take a little more time smoking off B, and then as you're going to see in a moment, they are going to be tossing a lot of utility, a lot of noise. They're trying to really sell this B fake. And by doing that, you're going to throw Molotovs in checkers, behind checkers, around checkers, flashing. They're just making chaos. They want chaos right now. And as you see, as that's happening, it's going to pull Lige and Stanislav towards this B bomb site. Now they have, Team Liquid have 4 people in this B. As this is happening, Immortals are walking back with all 5 people. Now, you kind of think to yourself, wait a minute, this is taking a long time, but it's okay, because right now, Team Liquid is not moving around. They only have 2 people on the bomb site, and this forces the numbers game from Team Immortals. You'll see this a lot from them. They love to play the numbers game. And what I mean by that, there's 5 people against 2 in this bomb site. So just easy trades, smoke for the highway and truck, nice spam by Henny, easy plant, another spam by Steel, and it just it creates opportunities, and it really opens up the pocket inside the A bomb site. Very well played by Immortals. And back to you, Big Stun.
All right, big stun it is. Not bad. I'll take it. Bach, before we throw it to our commentators, I kind of want to get your predictions here on map 1. It's going to be, Cash.
Yes.
It's going to be Cash.
I actually think it's going to be 16-12 Immortals.
Okay.
You know, if you look at Immortals' history on the map, in general, just really strong performances, beating the likes of MV and G2, Optic, all these other teams that are decent on the map as well. I think that Immortals has everything they need, even with losing one of their better players to SK.
Well, all right. I mean, it's one of these situations, I guess, where it depends if SK comes out, right? But nonetheless, our commentators are standing by. The Blaze combo never disappoints. Take it away, Blue.
All right, thank you very much, Sonny. Yeah, we're getting ready to jump into our second set of the evening now. The Immortals taking on the guys from SK. And as Bach was just saying, to bounce off that point really quickly before we do jump into the pistol round, the guys from the Immortals, they haven't, just lost one of their best players. They have lost arguably what was their best player. It was Phelps, who was easily the most consistent one from match to match and even going on to lands as well.
Yeah, I mean, Phelps was their guy that they relied heavily upon. I don't think that the Immortals playstyle, though, as a whole, back when they did have Phelps, was something that would, garner them towards beating teams like NIP and to these really, really good teams. And the reason being was a lot of the times that they would win rounds is simply off, like on Mirage, Phelps would like walk through a smoke on Catwalk and, try to flank towards ladder and take like cues like that. So I'm curious to see what's going to happen, Phelps being on SK now, how he's going to, be in that system, what he's going to be doing, if he's going to be like an entry fragger, how they're going to kind of tone him down a little bit, because sometimes he gets a little too crazy out there, tries to do too much. He kind of needs to, and we saw Fur go through that transformation as well. When SK back on LG, and even before that, Fur was trying to do too much, too aggressive. And then he toned it back a bit, and now, we see the Fur we know now who's like arguably one of the best players in the world, right? And I want to see that same transformation come from Phelps. Having said that, SK is playing Cash right now. They vetoed Cash for a really, really long time, Blue. But I think they want to veto Nuke now and kind of play Cash now that the map pool's a little bit different. So we're seeing them play Cash now, and that's going to be uncharted territory. We haven't seen them play Cash for a very, very long time. And we're going to see if they bring anything new to it. And I think it's a map that really can play to their strengths. Cash, that is, for SK. But Immortals been playing Cash for a long time, now plugging in FNX. So I think this is going to be a very, very close game, like Bach said.
Yeah, and they've been able to shut down many, many teams. Even recently, I think it was 2 days ago that they were able to take Liquid down here pretty easily, if I remember correctly. It was like 16-7 or 16-9, like somewhere in the pretty low ranges for Liquid. This is the new team with Stanislaw, and obviously they've been together for a pretty short amount of time, but still, it didn't even look like Liquid were really putting up that great of a fight, even with having like a Lige and whatnot, and Nitro, which he's usually amazing on that map. We really didn't see much from there.
Yeah, to note, though, Pimp, I believe, was playing with about 150, 160 ping, so that's a pretty big detriment, and he was playing from Denmark, and they were playing at like 10 o'clock at night, so he's like up for like 24 hours probably, right? So that's kind of tough on him. Having said that, Immortals has always been a very strong cash team, and I'm curious how they're going to, use FNX and what they're going to change now that they do have FNX and don't have Phelps anymore.
Well, it is time to get into it now. SK will start off on the T side with Immortals jumping onto the defense, and immediately Steel will actually play aggressively up towards the edge of the checkers room there. And it's not just going to be towards the B side that they'll play forward too. Lucas moving himself forward in mid, spots a couple players crossing, or at least just that one there, back across the useless room and through the garage itself. It seems as though that SK do want to boost up on top and try to get some of the mid control here, but for the most part, it has fallen back and away from this garage position. You still have two here to defend it. Lucas sitting just behind the white box right now and peeking it a little bit to play for some intel, and also one more, Henny, playing from back over here, but he will get smoked out, so if he wants to help out here, he's going to need to get aggressive or hope that these taps are able to connect some damage. Unfortunately, on the initial volley, it won't, and Lucas also not able to find anything as these guys do approach the white box here. There's the first blow, though. Takes down one, gets about half the damage off onto another one as Phelps is brought down very, very low to 26 HP. They need to approach and get some momentum swinging here as they're trying to take this over here towards the B side, it seems, with the bomb going inside as they fall back. Lucas again looking for damage, but it's not going to connect. And now Steel, well, if they follow through with this Vents play, he's going to need to put a big stop on this one. But look at how much time is being wasted. SK, they're stuck here, and they haven't realized that Steel is down below. Thankfully, Taco checks it as he drops down inside, but look at Henny tracing them through the smoke. He's going to be able to find one as he rotates over from Z. Lucas with yet another kill for these guys. They'll still be able to get access to the site, but they'll be outnumbered 4v2. A nade bouncing in, and no, it denies the plant. Destroys Taco, and now all you're left with is Cold. In a 1v4 scenario, he's being flanked out, countering that one with an instant headshot to Lucas, but 3 more still to go, and the only one that's even close to being low here is going to be FNX. The remaining 2 are still at full HP, and there's only 8 seconds on the clock. If he wants to get that bonus money, he'll have to plan it now, but even going out, it is the player at 4 HP that will finish the job and give the Immortals control to start off this map.
Yeah, and the highway player there, I believe it was Lucas getting that kill, just stopped their take right away. Made it very, very slow for SK to really do anything around those vents. They clearly wanted to do a B split. They got Cold to Sunroom very early. They take middle control, but then this nade stops any type of a plant. Really ruins any chance that SK has of winning that round.
And so SK, off of this one now, unfortunately, will have to force into the second one since they were denied of their plant. Fallen's going to buy without armor and getting that extra utility so they can form up some sort of a take here, but the rest are going to go for pistol armor buys. Gold already overextending his reach a little bit there, moves in and is found outside of the smoke by Lucas. The rest of them now just forming up into what is probably going to turn itself into just an A hit. A couple guys, or one player hanging out in Squeaky with the other 3 about to train their way in through A main as well. 2 sit ready for this one, although this could get pushed in upon here, depending on how much impact Bolt is able to have back over there by Quad. This guy on highway will get smoked back out. Henny, thankfully, though, has already found the one that's going to push out towards mid, and they're, again, really hesitant and actually following up with their push, so it's giving more time for players back by truck and whatnot that have the smoke that work in their favor, too, to be able to get up to the site here. So, for the most part, this is going to get denied more than likely. They may not even be able to find the plant. That flash will be good, but they fail to check Quad. Quick trade, thankfully, from Fur, but now Fallen hiding out in the corner. He's going to get hit by a flashbang, and now it is just Fur, who thankfully found that 1 kill, but is going to have quite a bit of trouble doing anything more than this one now. As he waits for the peak, 1 leaps down in front of him, and Henny will indeed finish the job.
Yeah, so very, very easy cleanup there for the Immortals guys. You saw Bolts doesn't overextend a Quad. He kind of makes sure that before he peeks, he has teammates there. He has flashes. Cold gets caught going through that smoke. Not expecting so many checkers on the other side. But Bolt staying alive there is very, very important. The longer you stay alive at that A site, Blue, just even if you only go 1 for 1, but you delay the take, and as long as you're staying alive and they have to look like towards their right and whatnot and have to worry about somebody in sight, it's not that it makes that person in sight's job that easier as they do a run boost towards B, is that, looks like they're just going to get cleaned up here with the humps, but it makes it so that everybody else has an actual, way easier time, right? Because people jump on the red bin. Then the guy white track gets an easy kill because that guy jumps on the red bin looking for that site kill, Maybe the guy highway spams someone through the smoke, et cetera, et cetera.
Taco will be able to sneak in the 1 kill there against Lucas, but directly afterwards, of course, he does get knocked out pretty quickly. So this takes us on to SK's first real big investment here without plants or anything to go behind them. Certainly are not going to see an op investment. It is just the AKs with a fairly standard utility stack here, and yeah, you can see how quickly this round got shut down as they all just get pummeled upon there inside of the team main entryway. But you can see it once again here. They've got smokes and whatnot, but if the if they deploy a lot of this too early here, and the problem is they're not really going to have a whole lot left for the post plan. Immortals are sticking with a lot of their SMGs, but that saves them a boatload of cash. But look at Phelps moving in. He gets aggressive. It's 1-for-1, but Steel's caught trading out guns. He wanted to go for that rifle, and that's where Fur is going to be able to pick up the second kill now for the Tees, and he has another one isolated back over there behind the sandbags, trying to spray into it. Gets even more damage onto his opponent there. Henny now down at 42 HP as a result of this, and unfortunately does not have an additional smoke to allow him to fall back to somewhere like Z right now.
Yeah, and they're just going to wait, and he's going to throw that Molotov as soon as the smoke dissipates, and now he's in real trouble.
Z is going to have no choice but to force out, but we do actually see him getting the kill against Fur. He will take him down with the Molotov, however, still, but that now only leaves one up and standing for the Immortals, and he's going to assume that this is working towards A right now. At the moment, he'll be correct to do so. Only 2 flashbangs actually try and counter this out. And Taco, however, he'll just go leaping in from highway. He'll get the kill and shut it down as SK do find their first round on the board.
Yeah, they get their first round, but Immortals, they didn't purchase too much there. They kept a lot of their umps. Phelps just goes right through the mid-smoke. He doesn't even wait for that Z-smoke to pop. And Immortals, how often do we see that, man? The Molotov comes out, the guy runs through the molly and gets the kill. Generally, after you throw a molly like that, it's like a lot of the time it's better to just wait until they go out in the open and then be the peeker just because of how the engine works. But now SK, they slow it down. They do more of a default, 1 towards B, I believe that is Cold. Phelps controlling middle on the red bin. You know, 2 towards A main, 1 going towards the door.
They still have Cold trying to sneak back in, though. However, Fur got a bit more aggressive in trying to, at the very least, cross A main at the very beginning of this round. Fallen is looking for the trade, but keep in mind, he's got the bomb in hand now. If he goes down and someone else gets aggressive enough to try and hold control of it, then that is immediately dropped out here. They'll just decide to smoke in and go for this, but he's already been brought down to 34 HP. Cold waiting out patiently here, but the spray misses completely. Lucas will get that kill against Cold, and now Phelps trying to sneak back in here. Nicely done. Gets him through the box after falling back from his peak. He'll take out FNX. 3 standing for SK. They still have a disadvantage, unfortunately, working against them here, both in terms of health and actual manpower. But all the smokes are being used now from the Immortals. They don't have anything else to back them up on this retake. Great pop flash as it's tossed back out there and allows Taco to peek freely from quad. Fallen's going to get traded out as a result of that one, but they still have to deal with Taco over here. Lucas finding another one, and now it's just Taco. They have to know he's sitting back here in quad somewhere. They're going to know for sure now as Henny finds the upshot and closes it down, and Immortals will trade back the round and should reset SK Gaming here.
Yeah, and Immortals is a very, very strong cash team. They're not going to lose those retakes where they do have the advantage, like you said. They had a big health advantage. Got a little bit scary for them because SK did have pop flashes that they were throwing, and you know, almost killed a couple of those Immortal guys. They had, you know, like 20 health, you know, on 2 of them, and then Henny was full HP. But SK does force buy right now, and this is a very, very important, critical round. If SK loses this, especially without getting the bomb down, economy-wise, is going to be pretty rough for them.
Usual smokes and whatnot being deployed to, at the very least, allow SK to get a bit of a staging ground set up here outside of Team Main. But it does not seem that Lucas is just going to immediately bow down and fall back. He gets aggressive. He moves in, and he's going to be able to grab that first kill. But in the meantime, Cold was able to take up a position in the corner, at which point he'll trade, but gets nothing else as a result of that one. Steal back up on the platform and followed up by a great pop flash, too. He's going to get another 1-for-1 trade. And keep in mind, too, they also got their first kill so far for free. The bomb's down on the site. They can't really fall back and try to change things up. Phelps is still stuck in mid, I do believe, somewhere. Yeah, watching to see if anybody tries to wrap around Fur, which is not happening. They're all just sitting on the other side of the wall. So these last 2 have to try and figure out a way that they can still get up to that site, plant it, and somehow hold on to it. Time is not really the issue. It's just the fact that, again, all of the members of the Immortals are still knocking at the gates. They don't really have a whole lot of utility left to allow them safe passage up to that platform anymore.
Yeah, but they should know that nobody's flanking. So that's only going to give them 2 choke points to really look at. And Fur picking up nades, you know, around with Phelps, they might be able to get the bomb and do something here where they could actually, you know, plant the bomb and play this 2v3. But Immortals playing very, very patiently, making sure they're not getting flanked. They're conceding the plant, essentially, and then are confident enough in their retake to not worry about it, right? And then just make sure you trade. But we'll see. This is a round that SK could definitely win despite having no nades and being down a man.
The plant will roll in, and now we do see, however, FNX has already gotten one of the remaining 2 members of SK. Fur will have to clutch 1v3, commits to that spray, has to re-peek it, but he'll get the kill. Now down at 6 HP, and he's being pushed in from both sides. And that's where Henny is going to put it to an end. It is the Immortals now again that take control, going up 5-1 here. Decent damage done at the very least to keep the money low for these CTs, but it is still ultimately them in control of the match right now.
Yeah, they are in control, but that was a very critical bomb plant for them. We see that SK just came out and did a simple B main smoke, you know, tried to trade and take the site together. Fortunately for them, Steel did a good job getting cold, getting that next kill on Fallen, who was pushing up on the site and getting that bomb down. You know, Fur did a good job trading that and putting them in a position where they could have won that round. I'm not sure how Phelps died there, though, in that 2v3.
Well, for SK here, they do go on to just another half buy. Tech 9s and P250s being deployed with 3-2 split initially. 3 of their players pushing into the B halls with only 2 in A main. The A main play, however, does have the bomb with it at the moment. And we have to see if these guys in the B halls can make any progress. More than likely, as we can see, already one starting to rotate back over. These players in the center will just get called back off and move in with the main push force now, which is still going to be sitting here running the timer down a little bit. There's only so much that can be done on a round like this, so they are getting prepared to push in now and waiting on the side. Well, you've got FNX. Actually, one of them was caught in the open there. They're both going to go down, so it's given them access to the A site, and all of a sudden, they have to try to figure out how they can rotate into this one. And he finding at least one pickup there against Taco to try and even out the numbers a bit more. And regaining the control of mid, but there's still one more that's going to try to mess around with them here. Coldzera sitting inside, and Henny will keep a watchful eye for that one, and immediately, as soon as Cold Peaks takes it down, the guys that are actually pushing back into the A site waste no time whatsoever as well, as it's now just down to 2, and neither has control of the actual site itself. Fallen will push in, he gets one, gets a second, and Phelps, from up on top of the big red box, does stop the rest of the retake from working its way in.
That was insane by Fallen, man. He dinked the last guy, too.
Good stuff from him, and we can see again that initially these 2 CTs, which do seem ready for it, one is caught in the backside there, I think, trying to fall back to the truck position, and their site control is given up early there. It does look like the Immortals, especially with Henny's movement at mid to deny them from being flanked upon on their retake, is going to give them a great passage back into the site. But yeah, then as soon as Fallen gets aggressive there and pushes back against the retake, it all gets shut down. So some great stuff from him, and that saves SK, allowing them to pick up a round, which in all honesty they had no business doing so.
Though that was ridiculous by Fallen. I have no idea how he did that, dude. Like the P250, he did the first 2 kills and dinked the other guy. That was crazy. I hope we can get a replay of that like after this round or something. I want to see that again. But now, because of SK's consistent economical pressure, constantly, you know, just buying Tech 9s and things like that, they didn't even fully invest into that last round. Immortals being a bit undisciplined there, though. Bolts rotated a bit too early. He needed to take contact for FNX while he was at the forklift. Bolts is their anchor. He never wants to leave unless he really sees bomb, you know? If anything and you want to do any movement in your bolts, you generally push forward, you know, in situations like that. As Henny pushes A main, catches Fur off, kills him in the back. Taco at the door, debates whether or not he should open it, but he decides to stay silent, not give away his position, as his teammates are spread across the map, where Fallen takes a mid control, peeking towards middle, you know, in that white box, and with that op, he sees that it's probably clear. Phelps gets out on the boost. That's basically, they know it's clear unless this guy is hiding sandbags, and now Taco just kind of getting any info he can. Hey.
There's great timing on that push from Henny, too. It's just as Fur had turned his back to try and retreat. I'm assuming to regroup with the rest of these guys that are now trying to push their way in through the B halls. As now the time's gotten very low, and while SK have essentially made no progress on actually pushing into a site right now, they're going to be relying on very, very minimal amounts of time to actually get them inside of a site. The good news is they're pushing into the site where the one pistol is still being played out here. That's Lucas. He's looking for the player by mini pit, but he can't actually hunt the head just yet. And again, still not actually committing with 10 seconds left. Finally going to jump up, but look at how easily this could get shut down. A 2-for-1 trade, and Steel's going to get the 3rd one now. Taco's completely disconnected from all of this, and he has to sit back, keep himself down, and hope that he doesn't get knocked out, as unfortunately they wait far too long and the Immortals pick one up at the timer.
Yeah, and again, Immortals was very, very disciplined there. They did not overpeak. They did not, you know, overcontest. We're going to see this crazy round by Fallen.
There's the first one, shutting it down, gets the second one up close, and as you mentioned, I think he did, yeah, he did dink that 3rd player there. So some insane accuracy coming out from Fallen, essentially pulls off the 1v3 all on his own, as SK will now drop this round, however, and allow the Immortals to go back into control. But again, because of their victory just 2 rounds ago, they are allowed to force into this one yet again, and they'll try to play it aggressively. However, that Molotov scrambles them quite a bit, as we can see Fur, Coldzera, Phelps all down at between 40 and about 30 HP each here. Taco's the only one that remains unscathed at 100 still, with Immortals 100% knowing that this is going to have to come into here now, as they've dropped the bomb on that initial push too.
Yeah, they dropped the bomb, and all their teammates are weak. They tried to do a quick take. It gets completely disjointed by the Molotovs and the nades that Immortals is throwing, and now, you know, all of them are low. 34, 28, and 17 between them, so not even 100 HP combined, and the bomb's down out in the open. Very, very difficult for them to win this round. If they want to, they're probably going to want to wait out some time, you know, make them have to worry about the flank and then actually take the gun battles. But Fur's working the smokes as Phelps goes towards the middle, takes out Henny there. So they have a chance now as Fur's just being sneaky.
Trying to make sure that there isn't a player hiding out either over here at Toxic, further down Highway, or even in the NBK position so that they can retrieve the bomb. Hoping he can pick up some kills, and they're actually going to fight back against this instead of just grabbing the bomb and running now. Phelps again regrouping as well as he is given free reign over mid. Everybody from Immortals had committed here. There was nobody that was watching out for mid. Steel moving in. He'll pick up the 1 kill, but Fur trading out one more before he finally goes down. And now it is Phelps trying to clutch 1v2. Time is getting low, however, so he will have to make a move here sooner or later. He's just going to be shut down basically by Lucas on the site. So a good attempt to make the best of a bad situation. They break it down to 2 players from the Immortals, but still, again, get dropped out there. They lose the bomb within the first couple seconds of their engagement, and that pretty much sends the ship out to harbor for the rest of that round.
No, they were lucky to even get as many kills as they did. It was just kind of a miracle in that sense that it ended up in even just a 2v1. And now SK, you know, if you're Immortals, you really want to win this round clean, but it's a little worrying watching SK play right now on Cash. You know, a lot of their play style that they're playing with is very, very different. They're doing a lot more fakes than you probably normally see, I think, on Cash. A lot of their takes are getting disjointed. Immortals just kind of having their way in any of these 3v3s as well as Phelps hits a 1 dig on Henny. So they start out well this round. We'll see if they opt for aggression at the other sides of the map.
So as the rest of SK now group up here to take that mid control. And again, for the Immortals here, they're not actually going to be doing a whole lot of resistance in mid itself. They continue to play towards the sites. They have actually rotated Steel back in here now, so he may be able to catch some of this as he's retaking up a position, moving away from the holding position outside of Heaven there. So as the rest of SK, they do decide to start to push in here, this time giving them a little bit more time to play with than some of the previous rounds. So Steel certainly knows that there's a presence, although I'm not sure if Bolts realizes just how close some of this is over here towards the white box. He'll fall back now. He's been dinked. Fallen's going to get the kill at super long range. And again, they did not account for how close this action was to them back by white box. So they've gotten a massive amount of kills. It's completely cleared out the A bomb site. And all of a sudden, they're down to just 1 man left alive. It's Lucas. And he is going to be immediately shut up by Coldzera as SK again sneaking around that they have absolutely no business doing so.
Yeah, and they put Immortals on a save. So that round was so critical for Immortals to win, to you know, get them out of the danger zone when it comes towards, you know, economically speaking, and they lose that round. Now they're at a forced buy, and SK all of a sudden has a lot of money because they saved and they picked up all the guns that they got the kills on. And 2 of the rounds SK has won so far, Blue, have just been off a Tech 9 half armor buy, and then almost a full eco there. They only spent about $2,000 between them all. And those are the 2 rounds they've won so far. So gun rounds have not been, you know, what's really been getting them through this game. But now all of a sudden they're in a great position. If they can win this round, Immortals is probably going to be on an eco. They should be able to make it 7-5 fairly easily. And then we'll see what happens from there.
Yeah, and Henny's already been tagged down and pushed, essentially just been pushed out of mid here as well. They will have more aggressive presence to watch out in case they try to transition this in through the vents, but you've got majority of their players still leaning this in towards A, with 1 inside of A main itself and another one in towards Squeaky. I believe that's Fur. The rest of them still hanging on the outskirts of mid, but in a moment this will probably transition, and now we have to hope that the A defenders are prepared for this one. Now, thankfully, this is keeping Bolts in check, but the rifle itself, the big rifle that needs to move over, is going to need to be Lucas, as he's fully committed to the B-bomb site with no signs of exchanging that anytime soon. We have seen Steel start to fall back, though. He is going to rotate a little bit early here, and they're definitely still keeping an eye on vents, just as a sort of alternate route in case the initial A push doesn't go so well. But once more, keeping themselves very quiet, running the timer down to a large degree. Taco has started to mess around with Squeaky a little bit here, but nothing that would really force these players to rotate in. As nonetheless, the Immortals have again placed Ignorance in middle and have decided to leave it open and focus on the bomb sites themselves instead. There may be good reason behind that, however, Steel finds the kill, but once more, the B-bomb site will be left open. It won't stop them, however. They're going to push in regardless here. 1 for 1 as the site play begins. Now 2 for 1 in the favor of the CTs, and Bolts is going to be allowed to go for all 3 of them. They just line right up, and there's no counter reaction to it at all. Cold's left alive with 8 seconds left, and he doesn't control the bomb. Once again, they'll be left up on the site, and there's nothing that the remaining member of SK can do. This one is going to the Immortals by timer.
Yeah, and that was a very, very good read by Immortals. Again, we saw that SK is in a 5v5 scenario. They send Cold B alone. He is able to get the entry from Checkers, but they don't over-rotate out A. They don't at all. They keep 3 there. 1 player went to the white truck to make sure they weren't getting flanked, but then they kept 3 in the A site. The A take came, and they were able to, you know, clean up on them. So that was a really good adjustment by Immortals to say, hey, we have lesser money, we have a lesser buy, we're not advantaged in this round if we just hold. Let's overplay a bomb site. They do, and then let's not over-rotate. So they played it very, very good. Now you see Cold is taking control of B, Sunroom, like he has consistently throughout this game, and he has the lone M4 on their team with 4 AKs. So Immortals right now is going to be a big round as well. They have a lot of utility though. They're probably going to play a much more default type of setup. They just have a 2-1-2. Henny's about to get smoked off, but he does have a scout. So we'll see how he, if he can get like maybe a jump peek right here, which is what he's looking for. And we'll see how they rotate off this mid control.
And Henny looking to see if he can spot these guys when they go over the boost itself. Takes the shot, but again, won't be connecting it there. That's not going to work nearly as well as it has in the past. Nonetheless, though, because of the smoke, and again, they don't really put any players over towards Highway to watch out for this, they'll be given free access to this area of the map. In terms of if they're going to commit themselves towards A, however, as they've had a pretty bad track record about it, well, that's yet to be seen, but it does seem as though they're leaning into it again. The bomb is now transitioning into A main. Taco's going to start beginning his push on the outside here as he lines up the smoke so he can freely push in. His teammates will be doing the same thing in a moment. There is still a smoke in A main, so it is holding them back. So again, timer being run down to a somewhat low amount, but it's workable this time at the very least, with 30 seconds left is where I assume is going to be the execute point here. Molotovs again back over there on Highway, stopping these guys from moving back in. You've got the quad player who's supposed to be picking up a massive amount of kills, but actually Bolts just gets immediately knocked out. It's not even going to be just him either. Fallen grabs the kill. Now Henny tries to do something, but Phelps and Fur both get up close against him to take him down. Rotations are swift at least, but now there's a smoke covering them back off, and SK through a very slow, gradual process here, I think they pretty much have this one secured. There's no way that Lucas is going to be able to clutch 1v3, even though he's getting aggressive now to move up. That'll be canceled, and he will begin to fall back to save that rifle.
Yeah, and that was actually like a beautiful take by SK. So they take the mid control, they put Z pressure, which means that, you know, there's going to be probably 2 A max, right? In that case, at least. Immortals are kind of leaning B even a little bit. Because as soon as you put that top Highway smoke, you're able to go up Highway. You're able to put pressure Z, so now all of a sudden they have to watch Z. And you kind of just spread out their defense a lot, Blue. And because Immortals didn't push on any side of the map, they just had to kind of, you know, stay at home and be spread out like that. And, you know, SK was able to take complete control because of that. They even were able to smoke out the white truck and do a really nice A-take.
As the rest of SK now again still set up in a bit of a spread out split, but 3 of them pushing themselves over here towards the B bomb site. Again, this is a full eco essentially from the Immortals here, but they have some close-up positions booths that'll try and do damage if these guys move quickly into the site. And well, they tried to. Didn't really work out though, and a lot more of the extra aggression that's coming up from the Immortals has already been countered. Henny gets knocked out back over there by the mid garage by Phelps. More of them stuck out in mid here now, waiting actually for their time to move back in through the vents and fully execute into B. 2 more up on the platform still to deal with, but both of them are going to get knocked back out, and that's a clear sight. They're basically just hunting down Bolts. He tries to hide himself out. He's going to run out of ammo, however, on the P250, and he finishes the job on Fur. He'll be at 9 HP, and Cold will arrive just before he can retreat inside of A main as SK pick up another round here. 5-8 will be the scoreline. Still not enough cash, however, I don't really think for Immortals to buy into. They've got to save until that last round.
Yeah, I think worst case scenario, they're still going to have to buy though, just because they'll get enough to be able to buy in this last round if they don't decide to buy here. We'll see what they decide to. They decide to full buy with umps and FAMASs. 4 umps and a FAMAS with a good amount of utility. So they decide for like a 1-3-1 and an A retake, as there's one player around Highway at A who could even go towards middle if they need help. So, but SK that round before, I believe when it was 8-3, when they did that mid take, Blue, was like picture perfect. That's what you want to see, and that's what you want to copy and try to mimic if you're, you know, a team watching this right now, because that was very, very well done. As now they just do a B take, Lucas falls in the checkers area, and now Phelps is probably going to get a rotate kill right here if Steel doesn't catch him off guard, but he does. Phelps dies around that smoke. Cold in the vents though gets counter boosted, I believe, and gets 2 kills over at CT middle. And now in this 2v4, FNX is kind of their last line of defense and last line of hope here at B. He does get in a good position in sight, and this kill is going to be very critical as well with Cold Zero in the vents, who's going to battle out Bolts.
Bolts is trying to sneak his way over here now, but Cold Zero is prepared for it. A nice adjustment onto the headshot there. He actually thinks he's going to approach from that bottom corner first, but he had already jumped himself into the vents, and this will call off the B hit entirely now. SK with a really nice read on the situation. They realize that site is going to be wide open for the taking over on A, and they just shifted in there, and they keep FNX kind of boxed in if he wants to rotate in the direction of CT spawn, and they will move in to basically just hunt him down. They've already found him. Well, if they didn't before, they certainly have now, and Cold Zero moves in for the nice little tap away there. He gets a big 4K on this round as SK 8-6 starting off this half very poorly, but now bringing it back essentially within just about one round if they can pick up this final one here.
Yeah, and I think that SK, you know, really, I don't want to say like got lucky or anything like that, but winning those 2 pistol rounds that they did was so critical for their half. If that didn't happen, they would be in a lot of trouble because Immortals was, you know, the better team on the gun rounds. SK was just kind of able to win that huge pistol round, or not pistol round, but, you know, the half by round and then the almost full save that they won.
They won in like a longer-term economical battle here too, as Immortals never really established a great economy, and with those eco victories, SK were able to get like a huge boost off of that one, and then they broke the Immortals right when they were on the edge of actually being able to build one up. So it constantly kept them under duress, and that's where they really were able to punish them and come back in this half. Now though, again, the guys from the Immortals, one trade I should say against Phelps here, but Bolts and Steel both also get dropped, and it's a very similar buy to what we saw just in that last round here, with mainly umps being brought to the table here for the CT side. And again, easy mid control being gained by the members of SK here. Fur, he's going to be sneaking his way up and around to try and get control. He's got it essentially all clear right now, so this is going to call for the rest of them to try and move in through A main, but there's also going to be them under a bit of a timer here too, since Lucas, I think that is wrapping back around through T-spawn, and we'll be able to redeploy into A main to try and stop them as well. One more player in the back quad position there, but Fallen's going to make quick work of him, and now it's just 2 up and remaining here for the CTs to try and make this a bit more of a stronger lead for them as they close out the half. The nade goes in again, fairly minimal damage I think in the long run of things, and while that flank is on the way, they are giving SK a whole lot of time to get into post-plant positions to prepare for the eventuality of a retake coming in on this flank, and they'll even shut the door in Lucas's face too. So if he tries to open this, may be able to pick up 1 kill, but it actually won't even be the case. coldzera will get both of those remaining players, and SK will indeed bring it back up to 7. Guys, that is going to close out the first half here between these 2 legendary Brazilian squads. The second half is coming up here in just a little bit, so be sure to stick around for more right here at the ESL Pro League.
ESL Pro League is brought to you in part by Logitech G, PaySafeCard, Mountain Dew League, and ESEA.
All right, welcome back again here, guys. Now we're in our second and final set of the evening. First map of it still, however, once again, between our 2 out of 3 now, actually, Brazilian squads. It's the Immortals versus SK, the 2 new rosters now that they have swapped players. SK arguably getting the still better, a bit of the bunch there with that trade, but so far in this one, at least at the beginning, we saw the players from the Immortals starting off strong, but then lost a bit of their steam due to some economical troubles, and now SK sits squarely just knocking at their gates with an 8-7 scoreline.
Yeah, but sometimes this map could be very, very T-sided, especially if you are able to get that mid control like SK did towards that end of the half, and you're able to just split like highway. Just having one guy highway putting down pressure makes it very, very difficult on the CTs. So Immortals is in a good spot. I mean, 8-7 is good. It's just that they could have been in such a better spot. They could have been an 11-4 or like a 12-3 if they just didn't lose that one round where they just had a deagle and a few P250s.
Well, guys, it is time to immediately now jump into that second half. The Immortals, like we mentioned before, still have a bit of a lead and possibly have their chance to retain their lead and maybe grow it up a bit more. But SK also on the CT side, and they're not going to waste any time getting aggressive here. Bolts is immediately shut down, and that's the bomb as well. They won't actually stay inside to challenge it, however. They will just be happy with that drop player and will promptly now fall back and play very passively after finding that kill.
Yeah, they do. They opt to just fall back and not try to like hold the bomb or anything. And I think that is a smart decision. They make it 4v5. They make it really difficult on Immortals too, because 2 of their players have nades, right? So any type of aim punching, they're going to be able to body shot those guys. We'll see. They opt to kind of leave A alone a little bit, right? They just have the guy at fence, and generally speaking, you usually don't have one guy door and then like split up in any type of a 4v5, but that is what they're doing right now. As FNX is looking for an entry over here, we might see like a smoke spawn and a Molotov headshot from Steel. But Lucas and FNX are definitely going to try to entry.
For, again, finding the first kill there, and Cold shutting down another one. And Cold not even needing to peek back out. Phelps was able to help from his position at the tree room, and that's essentially a flawless pistol round from SK. Immortals don't even get close to finding any impact there, let alone planting the bomb to at least give them some extra cash.
Yeah, and just a beautiful entry frag by Phelp here. This is not something you generally see and are generally ready for on any type of a pistol round. It's very, very unexpected for you to push straight into that mid garage. And Phelp is going to go towards middle. I think that might be, is that 3 towards A that are going to push right away?
Well, we will see in a moment here now, as they are going to, at the very least, the CTs, this is flash inside to try and take control here. The rest of the Immortals, though, do hold back a bit. You can see it as FNX that goes peeking. Well, that's a bit of a mistake, as now he's down to 40 HP and even sticks around, too. 2 more will take his place, but Fur, the accuracy on point now as he takes down Lucas. 2 more now moving back in through A main. They really want to fight for control of this one, and I think Fur knows it, so he's holding the up-close angle, waiting for the peek to pop flash, but that one's going to miss. However, he's still spraying massive damage in, and he gets the double there. Steel and Bolts both go down. The last one alive is Henny, and once more, no kills at all against SK. They clean up shop against the force-up from the Immortals.
Yeah, and Fur with an ace there, and you see what they wanted to do. They didn't want them to execute into anything, right? They wanted to do any type of door pop flash, anything like that. So they just take the fight to him quick. I think Phelp probably went middle, and he could throw his nades and easily go back B there really early if it is any type of a B take, and Cold can kind of just spot it out. So they just want to, you know, make sure they can't execute on anything. It looks like they're going to do pretty much the same thing here.
Again, flashing back in. This time there's quite a few more players, but that's not going to matter. It's 2 now that push it from the CT side, and it's not even just on A either. Coldzera moving out from the B-bomb site. He takes down Steel. All that's left alive is Henny inside of Squeaky there, and he's just going to roll right out and see if he can grab at least one of them. Won't be the case. Fur will immediately take it down, and that is a flawless start from SK. I don't think they lose a single player in all 3 of those rounds.
Nope. So they're able to keep their 4 umps, keep their M4. And now all of a sudden, you know, we saw this from Immortals where SK was able to win this round, but they did enough economic damage that they were able to put SK on a save the last half and winning the round afterwards. So SK is probably going to want to do one of the same things. You know, even if they don't win the round, it's not the end of the world. They just want to do enough economic damage to win the following round and set them into a double eco.
Just playing into the default here in the early portions of it for the Immortals here, and not even being aggressive about this at all, not even wanting to adventure into A main and whatnot. And they're restrained to a very large degree, not wanting to play anything out here at all. They'll counter boost Phelps inside of the vents there, out towards mid to watch out in case they move in for control from this position. But it's yet to be seen. Actually, a lot of the Immortals still favoring themselves a B-Halls push right now, but a lot of the smokes and whatnot, and you're still looking at 3 Molotovs for the members of SK as well here, as the Immortals aren't doing really anything aggressive whatsoever. They're not trying to force out any of the utility from the CTs. They're not trying to toss in any of their own bits to try and force SK to use their smokes, their Molotovs, or anything like that. So when the push does eventually come, they will be prepared for this and will be allowed to use a lot of theirs. But that's a good opener in terms of the Molotov power, because look at this Phelps. He doesn't even know where he can go. Nowhere is safe, so he's actually going to lose himself. But there's no follow-up on this just yet. There's no noise being made over here towards the B-bomb site, and nobody's certainly trying to push their way through the actual halls themselves. It all still remains held back, as now most of them are going to fall back away from those B halls and regroup outside of A main.
That was sick. Literally, if you're in the vents, there's nothing you can do. They mullied the vents, underneath checkers, and the back of checkers. So you either have to go towards middle and get on the roof, where they could definitely have a player waiting for you, or you have to just go into a Molotov and take, like, well, we saw there, 100 damage.
So off of that, now they just switched up to an A hit. It does seem though that SK, again, was not faltered by any of that. They just adjust properly, although they waste one of their Molotovs that's tossed back in there. Now they are going to push their way back in, however, but the T's, unfortunately, stuck behind a lot of these smokes and whatnot, and they don't feel confident enough to push back into them just yet. Fallen, finding one. Fur with a second up on top. FNX gets one, but he's going to be quickly traded back out. 2 remain here, and Fur shutting them down, diving into the smoke to keep himself alive. And with the tag team play, Taco rolls out and finishes the job. SK will go 11-8 now, despite losing an initial player in that round.
Wow. The discipline by SK there to not only not over-rotate, you know, like maybe that's just really good comms by Cold, I don't know, but also to, if you saw, they just kept like all their nades. They kept their nades at A, so they're able to just counter-smoke quad, and Immortals just let the time go so deep when they decided to hit the site that they had no answer to that quad smoke.
And this will put them right back down onto another, essentially just a deco round with the exception of Henny here. Everybody buying up deagles and little bits of utility here and there. Phelps already knocking out bolts, so making it a bit easier for these guys to try and shut down things pretty quickly. However, the Immortals themselves want to play a bit more aggressively, it seems. The cross smoke already being deployed here. Fur winning back by NBK, but there's the Molotov that is going to stop him from moving out anytime soon. And Fur, well, patiently waits and gets the double kill. Henny and Lucas both roll out right into that AK spray. Fur is even going to get himself a third frag here. Taco chimes in for the final one. It's a pretty quick shutdown as the Immortals now really struggling to get their feet on the ground on this T side.
Yeah, and you know, now SK has so much money. I mean, they could do a double op next round if they need to or anything like that. They have full Molotovs, double flashes on almost everybody. And look at how they buy Blue. You see, Fur's the only one with a nade, and he's generally playing towards A, so a lot of time you'll see him nade behind that box, but everybody else pretty much just has flashbangs, right? Because Cash is a very rotate-heavy map, and we're probably going to see Fur, we'll see if he does throw that nade. No, so he's going to nade over boost or middle, which is really common as well. But everybody else has flashbangs because it's such a rotate-heavy map. If you're rotating to B, you can throw flashes over heaven. Anytime you're rotating to A, if you flash front sight, your A player can get a lot of kills by peeking with it. So Cold pushing B, taking the position with him, and Bolts has a perfect position to kill him, though.
Nicely aligned there, so it gives them a little bit of room to work with now. Only one more player is going to be positioned on the B bomb site, and that is Phelps. Beyond this, it is fully committed over towards A, where I think they actually just potentially boosted a guy up on a Shroud spot as well. Yeah, that's going to be Taco placing himself up there. Fallen, though, finding his first mark back over at mid. Does not choose to stick around. Instead, falls back, basically waiting for an A hit to come in because of that one, but then quickly looping back over here towards that position as FNX drops himself back inside of the vent drop position. And while Henny, he's going to be allowed to pick up the kill on the Phelps. So there you go. There's the open bomb site. Again, they just firebomb the site itself, hoping to see if they can get one or two of these guys out in the open. That won't work as there's no one there. But now Fallen looking for the cross. I don't think he's actually going to be rewarded with anyone here. Steel's still just going to place himself on top of the generator and patiently wait from there. And FNX took the other spot, so he was not able to spot him from there. And this now appears as though it's being called into a save here. SK will not choose to attempt this, and they are just going to let the Immortals pick up a 9th.
Yeah, but they're going to try to get exits here. There's no reason they shouldn't. They have a ton of money. Fallen's going to post up here. They're going to try to kill anybody coming through the B main or the vents. And they should. If they could just get a bunch of kills here, you know, win the next round, they're going to guarantee themselves, you know, a save afterwards and really be in the driver's seat. So Taco positions himself outside of T-spawn, has great positioning.
Taco's going to get taken down this time. Fur, however, is able to sneak back in, finding now another one. More of them continue to get knocked out. At the very least, Bolts finally responding to take down Fur. It's actually only Fallen that saves at the end of the day, but as we mentioned before, and you can see it on the scoreboard, they have boatloads of money, so the lost players are not going to be a huge deal just yet.
Yeah, and it's been really tough for Immortals to get rounds. I think when it was like 7-2 or something like that, they've lost, you know, 12 out of the last 14 rounds or something like that, Blue. So they're finally able to you know, get back into it a bit and you know, put a stop to that. But this round is very, very important. If they lose this one, SK is going to, you know, they're probably going to take this one. So Immortals needs to win a couple rounds in a row here. As Cole just pushes B and kills Bolts. So that's I mean, Bolts kills him, right? And then Cole just comes right back and pushes again and just, you know, gets the kill.
So off of that one again, the Immortals now down a man. They have Phelps prepared to make a counter boost maneuver here too, and oh, the timing on this one works out perfectly. So that Phelps actually moves up on top of the A main shed just as they go inside of it. So he's now prepared to drop back down and completely mess them up with a flank. And here it comes. They're both lined up. Gets the one. Actually has to bail out on the second one, but is able to re-peek in. That's the bomb gone down. It's just Henny. 1v5. What's he going to do? He still has the bomb, but he's trapped. He can't even safely retreat now as there's a player waiting on the outside. At the very least, he busts open the cage and could try to run to the other bomb site, but still, what hope does he have with 0 damage being done? And he doesn't even have any great intel in terms of where the remaining 4 players are positioned at. They were able to push one and Squeaky in the meantime, and another one here is still going to be on the A sites, waiting for him as he takes this oh so cautiously. Just trying to hope he can hit some shots. Yeah, oh, nice one actually against Fur. Hopping into a position, executes Fur, and at the very least that has opened up the bomb site, but you still, again, do have to worry about this guy sitting at the back of the Squeaky hallway. He's even, yeah, this is, again, Fallen, who's even gone all the way to the backside just to watch out here and prevent this. But no, he spots the rifle, and that is going to allow Henny to get another kill. Thankfully, though, before this goes any further, coldzera will move in and shut down Henny. But still, considering the position he had been put in, it's still great that he is able to get those 3 kills.
Oh yeah, that was very, very impressive. I don't know how he knew Fallen was in the door. Maybe the guy that Fallen killed saw it on death cam or something like that. But big push by coldzera to just make it 4v5 instantly at the start of that round. Just taking control, taking the round into his own hands. As soon as that happens and you're a team like SK, SK is probably one of the best teams in the world, if not the best team in the world, Blue, at winning any type of 4v5 where they have the 5 on T side and on C2.
So the first pause now being called out here. First, we didn't actually see one of the previous half too, just to mention that despite SK being down as much as they were, they just continued to play out the half. And well, now we are going to see one being called by the members of the Immortals here, as they are starting to fall behind. And it's getting to a point where it's almost too much to try to begin to turn back around here, as they hold a very large advantage in this half after, you know, starting off so poorly here, finally rounding the comeback and then immediately taking that comeback and pushing it into a huge lead in the second half. They really only have 1 or 2 more gun rounds here, and then they'll be knocked out on this map.
Yeah, and this is a cool new. This is new for this season, Blue.
Yeah,
I like it.
Nice new graphic.
I like it. I like the DAR. You know, I like seeing that.
It's so weird to call
with
it DAR.
115. Why?
I know players always call it that.
Yeah, we always call it DAR.
Yeah, no casters ever call it that.
Huh.
We would just say ADR.
Yeah, I don't know why we say DAR. Maybe it's
Why
maybe
is it called DAR?
I mean, DAR is just damage around.
I guess it used to be. It would have been.
Maybe it used to be DAR.
Yeah.
Maybe that's
I think
why.
like in older versions.
Yeah, maybe. Well, I mean, DAR came from ESEA. Like ESEA is really the one that made that. So maybe it was just called DAR before that with ESEA, but yeah. So they are going live 13-9. Immortals does decide to buy here. And this is a rough buy, Blue. I mean, you got an AK as your lone rifle, then you got a Tech 9 Deagle, P250, and an Not many nades to work with either, so this is very, very difficult to win this round. They're going to put it on to FNX. He's going to get boosted along with Henny, and they're going to try to make something happen in middle here. But it's a tough task ahead of them right now.
And they also have 2 players on Highway. There's no one in Z defending this one, but they have 2 guys that, in theory, could swing out from Highway and try to put a stop to this one, where even if one goes down, you have a second one prepared for this. The initial flashbang, though, it does connect on a Fallen, so it's going to give them the room that they need to try and push their way back out. Now the smoke into Z, again, at this point, essentially useless, as no one is even considering that wrap-up. But they'll start actually to fall back. They're not expecting this heavy of a push, I don't believe. But now Fallen, he just has to prepare for this one. Takes 20 damage from the HE grenade, and again, they're wrapping up one player at least over there towards the vents. Fallen sees this though, taps away onto Henny, and that is going to be Lucas going down here as well. FNX does the return damage onto Fallen to bring him down to 12 HP, but the important note out of this exchange that the bomb went down on mid. They don't really feel secure to retrieve right now. Taco takes up the position as FNX tries to move back in, and the entire hit has gone down with no trades to show for it. Bolts is the last man standing. He'll attempt to retreat out here towards middle to retrieve the bomb itself, but coldzera is just going to chime right back in with the op to shut down Bolts, and SK go up to 14-9, and with that force just happening, well, the Immortals are going to be completely broken. There's no way they can justify that force yet again.
Yeah, and Fallen just waits and waits and waits and waits, and his teammates throw the perfect flash for him to finally peek. I mean, that was like really, really, really good discipline by him. They waited for the absolute perfect timing on him to actually swing wide on that highway box after knowing that they are out middle.
And as mentioned previously here, the Immortals, well, they don't have anything at all to work for, so I imagine they're just going to try to go for some sort of fast play into one of these sites. Hopefully they can overwhelm it and try to get them a plant for some extra money to try and round 6 rounds straight here, but prospects aren't looking so good, although for using that whole clip, that will give them the signal they need to push out onto the site. And, well, it is going to be Fur, Fallen, and Fallen, and Fallen again. That picks up the 3K towards the end of it there. Taco loses his life, but with essentially everybody on SK being over $10,000, once more, they can buy right through that, as they have a huge bank that can just eat up these deaths right now.
Yep, and now they decide to go for a double op setup, so 2 ops working aggressively against AKs with very limited utility. Going to be tough for the Immortal guys to stop anything here. They throw a quick Z smoke, so we'll see if they get boosted up. Fallen immediately going to highway and looking towards the boost, though. Just double scopes, no respect for anybody coming out of the smoke. Does not mind it. Catches FNX as he tries to jump spot on the white truck. Beautiful shot by Fallen, and man, does he hit some crazy, crazy shots, Blue.
So goodbye FNX. If we get a peek over here at the mid garage, it could be goodbye to yet another player from the Immortals here, although that doesn't appear as if it's happening. He's just trying to spot and see if anybody else gets too aggressive for their own good. Beyond this, the Immortals sitting back again. They've got some time to kind of wait this out and think about how they want to play it. But with the double op setup, essentially nowhere on the map is going to be completely safe, especially with the amount of utility that SK are going to have to chain together here as well. And once more, like we mentioned a couple rounds back too, the Immortals aren't really doing anything super aggressive, so they're not able to really force out any of this utility early from SK. They're going to be able to save it till the last moment when the actual deployment is coming into whichever site they choose to go towards. And basically, they'll have everything in the world to hold them back. Mid pressure coming in now. Vaughn was given the jump spot there, so he was able to spot it early on, but Steel and Henny both move in, and they get two very important kills. Fallen and Phelps both go down, and they're going to crunch this. So they've been able to turn this round back on a Teal. Cold, though, looking. The jump across. He misses that one, but jumps up on top of the box. Gets another one. Repeaks into two players, though. A 2v3 is what this will turn into, but look at how heavily Bolts and Henny. He's down at 43 and 2 HP. First here at the ready, but Taco's going to take a while to rotate in. However, it does appear that Fur, he's a bit impatient. He's not going to wait for his teammate. At least it seemed like that for a minute. He does decide better of it, though, and falls back. As Bolts is given with that smoke the potential to cross over. And right now, no one is actually actively watching for this push back in. It seems as though the attention is over here on the vent spot, but with Fur going down, Taco's chances have just dropped off dramatically. And it does seem that the Immortals, at the very least, are going to be able to live another day. Taco, however, will not be falling back to save with this kind of a bank. He is going to sit here, hope he can catch some of these guys exiting out through the B halls and do as much damage as possible, as their money is still in the trash right now.
Yeah, unable to get Lucas there. Was smart positioning by him, just not able to really hit the shot. Didn't take his time enough, in my opinion, there. But yeah, this shot by Fallen was just sick, man. Like, poor FNX, right?
Goodbye.
Cold, I want to see the smoke that he threw. That smoke that he threw, I wonder if it's a one-way, if you go a little bit more to the right than what he went. Definitely could be. We saw that was definitely a set smoke by him, so that was pretty cool to see. Curious to see what exactly that looks like. Maybe maybe after this, we'll have to go check Blue. But it looks like they're gonna do a boost onto the boxes a day, so they'll have the high ground. Taco gets up there, and do you remember a while ago as Cold just pushes B again and gets Bolts? So he's been getting the better end of that battle, throughout this half a couple times, and it's just shut off any B pressure. Bolts is just, he's not getting anything done in or around there, and he's shutting off any pressure for that area, and allows their teammates a lot more comfortability everywhere else.
And much like many rounds in the past, it's the same very passive opener from the Immortals too. Bolts hanging out, but as you mentioned, getting shut down on the aggressive play from Cold, so they've cleared out any B pressure. The Immortals are basically just waiting on the timer, not even really trying to poke into these sites and again, use any of that CT utility. Fallen finding one over here. That's FNX going down, although Henny is able to trade onto the player behind sandbags. Fallen in the meantime is long gone, falling back to the A site now to prepare for a hit in through highway, but they're actually smart about the way that they're going to approach this now. The vent's being burned out, so they do have to wait a couple of extra seconds, but I definitely think they're moving into the play here instead. Oh, maybe not. Hold on. They made a last-minute judgment call that they were stacked outside of it, and now they're looking towards highway instead. The smoke is here. Fallen gets aggressive. He gets one kill out there, but Henny immediately trades it. And now up from the Shroud spot, Taco would try to put an end to this. He's got to be quiet at first, but no, they spot him. The site's been opened up, and again, the Immortals, they do manage to find the path which they can win the round. It's not done yet, though. It goes down to a 2v2. Fur and Cold both have to move back in for the retake, but they're being very aggressive on the Immortals side. Henny specifically pushed all the way up to the truck angle. Is he actually going to expect this coming in from highway? Well, he doesn't even need to, as Lucas gets the instant headshot on the Fur, and now you're just looking at Cold Zera with a 1v2, and basically very little golf. He still doesn't know where Henny's playing from, so even if he can catch Lucas in a peek from quad and take him down here, he still has to worry about Henny directly behind him right now. He is being let onto the site, though. And Henny has not even turned once yet to try and check for this one. Time's low. He doesn't have a whole lot left to work with here. He'll be able to catch Lucas in the cross, but there is not enough time to actually go in and defuse that bomb. So he tries to run away, but Henny is there for the trade on that one. So no save at all for SK.
Yeah, no save. And the problem is when you start making a stand, like at this part of the round, as Fallen kills FNX trying to just crawl through middle there, and you make it this late, it's like even when you do this, like SK just gets so many buy rounds in a row, it's like you have to beat them in like 5 straight gun rounds, and it's so difficult. And by the time you actually get them in the save, they get money bonus and have like 3,400 each round, so it's just such an uphill battle. But we saw that boost in A, and one thing that you'll see that teams have started, stop doing is before they would do the run boost from the A site, but now everybody knows, like, if you just hear that noise, there's a good chance they're there, so people kind of stop that and they go back to the old school way of doing it.
We have Lucas, again, positioned back here to watch specifically for that counter boost right now, which potentially is going to be deployed by Phelps. This all comes down to a matter of timing, and he spotted it, so he knows it's there. And Phelps, while with that peek, is just going to immediately fall back and give up upon it, as he knows it's been spotted, and they are expecting this type of a play. Still slow, though, still very restrained from the Immortals, as they want to run that timer in a little bit before they do go for their deployment. Still being safe about the potential for the counter boost to be redeployed as they molly off the top side, and now they're going to move up themselves to take up a position here. Bolts as well, waiting for coldzera, but this time he decided not to push his way back out. He's just going to be hanging out in the site, and while waiting for whichever site the Immortals do decide to push back into here.
Yeah, and look at how much utility, though, the SK guys have. Like, the clock's winding down. There's only 40 seconds left, so whatever they do, you're going to have to do it fast. And they have so many Molotovs on the SK side.
The Immortals side is using the last of theirs now, but Cold actually in an aggressive position again. This time caught out. They've gotten used to this. Bolts finally starting to learn a little bit here. He moves in and takes down Cold. The rest are going to flood into the site, but again, they've left themselves very little time. They've got to immediately find the impact kills here. Taco chiming back in to try to prevent them from getting access to the site platform itself. Bolts also trying to take out the players by Troom, but they can't do that. Nonetheless, though, Fur holds back a little bit, but then tosses in the nade and drops the bomb for a second time. He'll chime back in. Steel finding another kill, but they no longer have enough time, so it's going to run down to the timer, and they can't kill Taco properly, so SK will close it down, and off of that, they are going to be able to take this one 16-11 as the final map score here on Cash.
Yeah, and that was another round that we saw SK won because Immortals took too much time. We saw at the very first gun round when they kept their umps, and they just kept their utility. And they just said, hey, we're just going to keep all our utility, and then finally when you make a move with 30 seconds left, we're going to throw it all. And what are you going to do if you're Immortals, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. So, guys, there's a lot more to discuss with that match, of course, than we had with some of our previous games. Xenus, let's take it over to our analysis. Death, Stunna, and Bach. Let's break down map number 1.
Bach, right away, a much quicker matchup there between, or excuse me, a much better matchup between Immortals.
That wasn't quick at all.
No, nothing quick about that.
Nothing quick
A
about
much
that.
better matchup between Immortals and SK. Let's get some initial thoughts from you on this.
I mean, it went kind of how we expected. You know, I thought maybe Immortals would win 16-12. So I was close to the score, but I had it backwards. It was actually 16-11 for SK. You know, we were going off the unknown. How much was that roster change going to affect the likes of Immortals? Obviously, SK came out swinging, and, you know, Phelps looked pretty good at points. There was a couple rounds where he was pivotal in SK taking it.
Well, let's talk about taking the fight to the enemy. And let's talk about Fallen's P250 kills here in round 7. Walk us through it, Bach.
So this is very early on when this happens. You know, at this point, Immortals looked like they were going to run away with this one. They had SK in a really awkward spot. They kept breaking their money. So it was an eco coming out from SK. It seems like it should be easy. But right off the bat, Phelps and Fur come out swinging with the Tech 9. They get the site completely secured, and it's a 5-on-3 with rifles being handed over to SK. And now they can set up with what little utility they've gathered up and just hold off for the post plant. Immortals still does a pretty decent job of going for the retake here. Henny patient as ever with that AWP in mid. Phelps boosting up over top. Fur dies like right off the bat, right in the middle of the site. So it looks like it could be the round going the way of Immortals, but then Fallen comes out of nowhere. I mean, that's 3 quick headshots. The third obviously is not fatal, just delivers enough damage that his teammate can finish him off. But great work from Fallen. Just falling back on that angle, constantly forcing them to walk right into his crosshair.
Now, of course, those kills going to him, and they're able to string together, put together that round. But let's talk a little bit now about Fur's actions here in this game. I mean, he had a heavy role in this.
Yeah, so Fur finished with like 26 kills and like 109 ADR. Like unreal statistics from Fur. At one point, he was at like 126. He was averaging like 1.25 FPR. Just unreal from Fur. But in general, you know, just great performance across the board from SK.
Okay, we've got round 11 with Bolts coming out with a 3K here. Talk to us about this.
So this was at a point where SK started to bring it back. So Immortals was starting to run out of steam after going up with an insane scoreline, and now their money has basically been exhausted because of those ecos. So the first kill is actually Steel up on top of the red box in A site with the Deagle. SK starts working towards the site, and it's a bit of a miscommunication here, because this guy peeks from quad and Fallen sees him, but Bolts is able to kill 3 people without anyone really turning back. The only person who ever even sort of engaged him was Fallen, and at that point, SK fell into a trap that we saw Immortals fall into in the second half. Just ran out of time. You know, coldzera was left alone. There was only about 10 seconds left on the clock.
Now, how many times in this matchup alone, and I believe on both sides, did we see the clock become just a force against either team?
I feel like it was more of a problem for Immortals than it was for SK. Like constant slow takes, trying to read the map. They consistently found themselves executing with like 20 seconds left. And at that point, like Daze was touching upon it, SK was holding on to a lot of their utility so that when that last minute take came in, they were doing everything to try and slow it down. So it basically just becomes a brawl on the site. And if the bomb gets dropped, the round goes the way of SK.
Okay, coming up now is an ace here by Fur, actually, believe it or not.
Correct.
The man I said was putting in all that ADR. We've got an ace here in round 17. Let's walk us through this one.
Yeah, so at this point, that lead that Immortals had built up was lost, and they're coming in off the pistol round loss. They force up, hoping to make something happen. Fur gets aggressive with a pop flash. Him and Fallen are in A main. Fallen falls off, but Fur decides to stick around, so he gets that first kill, and he's still here. It looks like he might die. Nice shooting to take down Lucas, and now the push starts coming in. He goes for the reload right around the corner, debates throwing the nade. Now he just holds this angle for a bit, and he waits, and then the pop flash comes in. It actually doesn't blind these players. It looks like he might die, and then he just lines them up in the end, and then at range with the UMP, whips out the pistol, and steals Fallen's kill to grab the ace.
And is just able to essentially just put it away. We're going to take a look now at Fur's stats here for this game, and I mean, honestly, what he was able to put together, definitely, I think, part of the backbone of the team there.
Yeah, and he's always been that player. Like, you know, when you look at the early half of 2016, Fur's statistics were, you know, a driving force for SK. And their first season in Pro League, I think he like finished the season with an average of 1.01 FPR across an entire season. So that means every round he's consistently getting one kill, which sounds like nothing, but when you look at the other players that were up towards the top, it was like 0.8 was the closest one.
Now, okay, so this is the first matchup we've seen with either of these new rosters. How are you feeling about either side of the fence here?
I still feel like SK came out on top. I feel like the swap favors them big time. There were a couple of big plays from Phelps. They boosted him over mid. At one point, he gets a 3K on A main. He seemed to plug into the roster really well. There was not really any clunkiness. Sometimes you make a roster change and things don't really work out. Initially, it's kind of rough. Didn't seem that way at all. He just kind of fits right in. Whereas FNX, I mean, he had a couple of rough rounds. That one round where he's jump peeking off the white truck over mid and Fallen. It's almost like he knew he was going to do that.
Yeah, I mean, the short end of the stick by far. I mean, he was just, you could see that it was kind of anticipated.
Yeah, so I think in general, SK looked stronger after the roster change. I think that Phelps is the better player between both FNX and him. So I think SK gained a lot from picking up Phelps and bringing him into the roster.
Well, another player we can talk about right now, a player known as Keanu Reeves. In the movie John Wick 2, which you can go see this Thursday at your local movie theater. If you haven't seen the first one, I suggest watching it first and then going to watch John Wick 2. But when we come back, we will be heading into Cobble here between SK and Immortals. So keep it tuned in.